Hello, Crystal Palace. Welcome to the Upper Norwood Library Hub's Library Live Lunch. This is a place to share positive and inspirational stories from the local area, useful information, and just keep us all connected during this time. So my guest today is Suzanne Pink, who is a local resident and artist. Suzanne, thank you so much for joining me. It's brilliant to have you. Tell us a bit about your background.
Hello, and thank you for inviting me today. Really excited to do this. So I started off in graphic design, my background's in graphic design. I did that at Edinburgh College of Art, coming up for 20 years ago now. I was working that out last night, it's a bit scary. And then when I graduated, I worked in agencies in Edinburgh and in Brixton. And then in 2005, I kind of had a complete change of heart and actually went into primary teaching. Did that full time for quite a few years, and then sort of brought back in the design, the illustration, and now it's sort of a combination of lots of different things, so quite nice balance.
It's lovely that you've managed to combine them both now, kind of over time.
Yeah, it's sort of worked out a lot by chance, as these things sort of do. Somebody suggesting doing art classes, which I hadn't really thought about before, several years ago. And it was just a really good chance to combine the illustration and the teaching side. So yeah, it's just sort of grown and grown from that. And that's kind of become quite a big part of what I do now. It was never really the intention, but that's just how it goes, I think.
Yeah, indeed, how it goes. So tell us a bit about more specifically what you were doing kind of before 2 months ago.
Yes, in the normal times.
Yeah.
So I was teaching. I teach a year 6 class part-time, so I was doing 2 days teaching year 6 and running illustration workshops from my home, which is where I'm sitting here. This is where I would usually do them. We've got a garden in Stanbourne Woods behind, so it's quite a nice
Lovely
setting. And so that was for adults and children, and quite often adults and children. So I was doing quite a lot of workshops and we had like whole families coming together. It was really lovely. And then my freelance design and illustration work as well. So it's just a combination of the sort of 3 elements, a bit of a juggling act, but
yeah. How do you deal with a class where you've got an entire family and sort of get all the levels right for everybody?
It's really interesting, actually. I was wondering that when I first did it, but it works out really well because I found sort of the adults will kind of just get on with it, and they pretty much want to be left alone for like once they get into the drawing, and then that frees me up to sort of give the children a bit more kind of individual attention and maybe some extensions, because they always kind of, they finish everything a bit sooner. So it's within the class you can kind of have things up your sleeve that you can sort of offer up to them. And yeah, it's worked really well. And then I do quite a lot of paired warm-up activities, and so they can like work together with like an adult and child together. It's been really, it's quite a good bonding experience. So yeah,
that's lovely.
nice.
What sort of I'm curious, what kind of warm-up things do you do?
Well, we're going to try some, I think, in a little bit.
Awesome. All right,
yeah,
brilliant.
so watch
Hold
this
fire.
space. Yeah, it's very much kind of low stakes, quick drawing, really just to like loosen up the hands and just get you into that drawing mode. So nothing too, and do things like you might build on what one person's done and pass it around the group. So very light, very quick, and just kind of a bit of an icebreaker at the start.
Cool. Oh, fab. Well, I look forward to trying that in a sec. So you've sort of just started touching on it, but let's go into a bit more detail about your teaching ethos. So what are your aims with your teaching?
Yeah, well, really, the main thing is just it's really accessible. So although it is a taught class, I'm more of a facilitator really within the class. So I will provide ideas and tips and do little demonstrations, but then it's really up to individuals to take it however they want. There's no expectation of anyone having any previous experience or confidence, which a lot of adults come with very low confidence, which we talked about the other day. So it's really taking people from where they're at and just giving them the confidence to try things out. And I always just say, it's just a piece of paper at the end of the day, you know, it doesn't matter if it all goes wrong and you hate it, and it doesn't matter. Just try things out. All the materials are quite accessible as well, so you know, I don't tell people they have to have, we don't use any kind of really fancy expensive equipment really, apart from my color pencils, which are it's worth investing in. But apart from that, I mean, I just use like simple materials. We use biro sometimes, and chalk, and just things you might have at home. So
fantastic. I think just following up from what you've just said, one of the things that was very interesting for me when we were talking the other day was how much similarity there was between both our teaching ethos and the challenges that we found, or the difficulties that people kind of come with, a lot of which is actually to do with confidence having been crushed quite early on.
Yes.
And I find that very much with singing, and you were saying you find that with drawing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a really big difference between the way that children generally will approach it and adults. So I started my first kind of regular class was back in 2016, I think, and Sanborn Sketches, because I'm on Sanborn Way, so we came up with the name Sanborn Sketches. And I've heard just some horror stories from people in that group about their teacher at school like ripping up their artwork and saying, "I bet you feel better now, don't you?" And then
wow.
Yeah, and then I mean that's it. They didn't draw again for like decades. So there's a lot of like unpicking of all the kind of negative messages that people might have had. It just takes one person, the teacher or anyone else, just to criticize or give you some negativity, and it can really put people off. Because I think drawing, probably with singing as well, you're really putting yourself out there. It's all from you, and you know, it's quite a vulnerable place to be, I think, sometimes.
Absolutely.
Like
yeah, very much so. And I think for me, actually, a lot of the joy in teaching is about unpicking, as you said, unpicking kind of the mental blocks that people have got and helping them to see that they can actually do it. And I get the impression that's the same for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, like, seeing at the end of a class how somebody's coming saying, "I can't draw." I mean, like all the adults say they can't draw. I can't draw. And then by the end of the class, they've gone through this kind of journey really and produced something that they're really proud of. Or it's quite often the earlier pieces, like the kind of warm-ups or the little sketches, that they will end up preferring because there's less pressure. I try not to say like, "Oh, here's your final piece of paper," and make it too final, but obviously like that's how it feels a bit. And then it's really interesting. The freer you can be, kind of the more people end up sort of getting out of it really. So it's all about putting people at ease, and this is a very relaxed and laid back, casual environment to let creativity flourish.
Amazing. Well, we'll look forward to trying that in a sec. But just before we do, I just want to say hello to everybody who's watching, and particularly Kate McGee, hiya, who's been doing amazing work with the Freelance Group, which is how we are, Suzanne and I are connected. And also Kate Collins says hi, if
Hello.
that's a friend of yours.
Yes.
Excellent. So if you guys watching have any questions for Suzanne as we go along, or any comments, please do put them on whatever social media platform you're on, and we'll try and answer questions as we go along. It's always really lovely to have comments and things. It reminds us that we're not just talking to each other but to a wider audience, so please do feel free to put some comments and questions and things there, and we'll we'd love to answer them. So and do give us a shout, because we can't necessarily see who's actually watching us today, apparently. Suzanne, going back to just where we're at the moment, really, how have things changed for you during lockdown? What have you been doing? Obviously work has totally changed.
Yeah, it has, and I had a lot of workshops booked in, which I've sadly had to cancel, postpone indefinitely. And yeah, I think there was a period of time right at the start where it was a bit of a shock, and it was sort of like, "Oh, crikey, how are we going to cope with this?" So obviously, because I teach in school as well, that's still been ongoing with key work at school and online learning. So that was a bit it's been a bit intense, so it took a bit of time just to kind of get my head around all of that. I had lots of people asking whether I'll be doing online classes, which I haven't. I think if this continues, much longer, then it's something I look into, but it wasn't really possible to go down that route. There's just so much else going on. So what I started doing was online video tutorials, just little kind of tips and just short videos to just to inspire people when they're at home, just to do something creative. And following on from what I was saying about the accessibility, I really just tried to make sure that all the ideas that I've presented are accessible. So I've got one, for example, which is using some cardboard packaging. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, that's lovely.
My shed. It's just on the back of an old piece of packaging. And yeah, giving alternatives of materials you could use if you don't have a fine liner, you can use a biro, that sort of thing. So yeah, I've done some watercolor and pen, pencil, different sort of styles, just to put something out there that people could try.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I think we should give it a go. So
okay.
just while you set up, I'm just going to read out. So Kate, thank you. Kate McGee has left a comment saying, Suzanne is brilliant. Her live classes are so relaxing, and I've been trying her video tutorials, which are great. And actually, Kate, I think that I've seen quite a few of you've been posting pictures of your drawings, and I'm guessing that some of them have come from doing the Suzanne's tutorials. So that's really great to know. Thank you. So cool. It looks like Suzanne is set up. So guys at home, I hope you have a pen and paper, and if not, please grab one now, because we want you all to try this out. I'm going to, and I'm terrified. I was saying to Suzanne earlier, I can remember the exact moment at school when I decided that I couldn't draw. And yes, it was when I was drawing a sheep skull, and every time I took it to my teacher, the comment I got was, it needs more detail. And in my head, I was going, I literally don't know how to add more. I just don't know how. And I do not remember drawing since. So Suzanne, I'm scared.
Let's try and remove that fear. So as I was saying, drawing warm-ups and just little quick sketches is a really big part of my workshop. So that's just what I'm going to do with you today. So if you've got a piece of paper, first thing, we might just fold it in half. We're just going to do a few different little quick things. Doesn't have to be neat or anything, don't worry about that. Okay, and then if you've got an object, just a simple object to hand, or you can just have a look at the scissors that I've got here. Just grab anything, could be a pair of scissors or a pencil sharpener or anything that you've got lying around. Or you can just have a look at my scissors here. Okay, and what we're going to do is just a very, very quick sketch, and I'm talking about sort of 10-15 seconds really, of your object. Or if you haven't got an object quickly enough, you can just position your hand, your non-drawing hand, and draw that. So we're going to do a continuous line drawing. So the idea is not to think too much about it. You can go back over the lines. I'll demonstrate and you can have a go. So really, really quick. I'm only going to do it for a few seconds. So I'm not taking my pen off the paper at all. And you can go back over. The artist Paul Klee had a saying of taking a line for a walk. So this is kind of what you're doing here. I'm not worrying about proportion really, or any of the details, as you can see. Okay, and then you can see that. Got your quick continuous line sketch. This is the idea of this is just a warm up to warm up your hands and get you ready for drawing. And really, the quicker the better, and not overthinking it. Because if we spend too long on these quick drawings, you end up just fussing over every individual line. So. Okay, I think your time's up.
Well, you know, sort of vaguely.
Yeah. And we sometimes do like drawing without looking. We might draw each other without looking at the paper, and you know, everyone always gets a laugh out of that one because you end up with ears on the wrong side of the face and that sort of thing. But the intention is just to loosen up and get ready for drawing. Okay, you can turn your paper over now, and I'm just going to show you 3 little ideas that you could do. The first 2 are just kind of quite relaxing, mindful kind of patterns that you could do, and the third one is a little technique that I use in a lot of my illustrations. So if you just roughly draw, I'll do the 3 boxes, and again, they don't have to be precise or too neat. And we'll start off, but it might be something you can then continue on after we finished. Okay, so in the first box, I'm just going to do some curved patterns. So I'm going to turn my paper so that I'm following the curvature of the natural rotation of my wrist, because that's easier than trying to draw a curve the opposite way around. So find the natural rotation of your wrist and turn your paper to make it more comfortable. I'm just going to start off with, I'm doing it a bit bigger than I normally would, so you can hopefully see some curved lines, almost like waves. Starting off like, you see? And then the idea is that we will just overlap these kind of wave patterns to build up. It could be a C design or just an abstract kind of pattern. Don't worry if they go a bit wonky, don't worry if they overlap. The more you do it, the more confident your strokes will be. Hopefully you can see that. And then you can keep going, overlapping, and hopefully you should feel nice and calm as you're doing it. And I have really found that drawing during this time has been something that's really helped me. Just if we've had a bad day, just do a bit of drawing. That does really help. And then you can take that on as much as you want. Shall I move on to the next one?
Brilliant.
Yeah. Okay, the next one is sort of similar but using triangles. So we start with one triangle, and then I'm just dividing my triangle into smaller triangles as much as I want, as tiny as I want. I might leave some blank. Ooh, can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then I'm adding triangles, and you sort of come up with a kind of almost like a 3-dimensional origami type image. But again, the idea of this is not to overthink it, just let your pen kind of go and let your hand move where it wants to go. Don't plan it out, just do it. And any pen, any biro or fine liner or anything you've got, or pencil, if you prefer.
Oh, it's really pretty, both of them.
So you can end up, I mean, you can end up with a whole page of them. Like if you're on a conference call or something, you could be doing that. As some people find the doodling helps them to concentrate, so it's quite a good thing to do. I've got one person I know ended up with a whole massive page of beautiful patterns that she'd done during this like all-day Zoom call.
Probably not a good idea to advertise that's when she was doing it.
No, maybe not.
So could you
sorry,
could also probably colour these in as well, couldn't you, or use different colour pens and stuff as you're going?
Absolutely, yeah, you could take it on as much as you want, and it's similar to sort of very popular kind of mindful colouring books that you can get. But the nice thing about this is that you're creating your own patterns as well, so you've got more of a kind of investment and more ownership over it. So even though it's quite low stake, then you know, you're not create the big finished piece, there's no pressure, but you can actually create something that you think, actually, I'm quite proud of that. So I'll move on to the third little quick drawing, which is, I'll show you an example of how I would use it. So this is one of my illustrations, and it's for a starry sky or a snowy sky. And so I'll show you how you can create that. The first thing is to just do some circles. I'll do them a bit bigger here so you can see. We do some circles on your little area there. And then in between the circles, we're just going to fill in the sky, but I'm not completely doing that a solid colour. I'm just sort of scribbling so that we're left with a little bit of the white paper showing through, which gives a bit of depth. So when I've done a little bit, I'll hold it up and show you. You can always, if you feel like you need some more little circles, little stars, then you can add them in. And if you've got a big sky to fill, this can be a brilliant, relaxing thing. So it'll take you hours. I don't know how easy it is to see that, but
yeah, it's good.
Yeah. It's just a simple technique, but if you do that over a large area, it has quite a big impact. So okay, just some little ideas.
Oh, it's awesome. Cool. Thank you very much. That's brilliant. I'm definitely going to try those. Lovely.
Okay, I'll try and turn this around again.
Very, very cool. Well, while you're doing that, so I've got a couple of comments from Keely. Is that, I think, how you pronounce it?
Kylie.
Say again.
Yeah.
It's a friend of yours. She says, great scissors, Suzanne. Really enjoying listening along. This technique is always great with the kids. And I also have a comment from Kate Collins, who says, I loved Suzanne's drawing pack, which is something we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yes.
So actually, do you want to tell us about that now, in fact?
Yeah. So
you've just launched it, haven't you?
Yeah, I've started it. I kind of did one just before Christmas because a few people from the workshops were wanting to carry on at home doing some drawing and painting, and so I had this idea of like an art set that you could just a sort of themed art set, so it would give you some ideas and tips and some examples of what you could do, and then like some warm up ideas and kind of guiding you through some techniques, and then giving you the resources to be able to do your own. And so that's how the idea started off. And then when all this situation occurred, I was thinking of something instead of the workshops. What could I do? Something that was postable and just could fit the letterbox. So I've kind of tweaked the idea, and now I've also got the minis set. So they're kind of just little gift sets that you can kind of send to someone maybe you haven't seen for a while, or if you've got someone's got a birthday and you can't see them. So
or Father's Day, perhaps.
Father's Day, perfect. Yeah, so I've got examples that I could just quickly show.
Brilliant.
So this was the original box, which is a fine liner set, and I'm really into kind of unboxing and the process of receiving something through the post, and it being like a tactile experience. Everything's hand wrapped and ribbon wrapped, and so you get packs of all your tools, and so there's an element of kind of like just the tactile nature of receiving something and unwrapping it, and just like a little special moment, because I've always loved receiving post, and you usually just get bills, so it's a bit nice, I think, to receive. And the minis packs are the kind of letterbox sets, and you can personalize the message, and then everything's kind of in there for you. So that's what I've just been working on over the last few months, really, to get that going.
Yeah, beautiful. It's a really lovely idea. Yeah, fab, thank you. Those are I've certainly seen them on Instagram, so there's is that the best way for people to?
Yeah, on Instagram, or just through my website. There's a link on there, so just suzannepink.co.uk, and you can find out all the information about them. So
fantastic. And so we're nearly out of time actually, but the other thing that I think we just wanted to mention briefly was the personal kind of creative things that you've been doing during lockdown.
One thing I started doing, and actually I always used to keep a sketchbook, and I always tell people to keep sketchbooks. It's a bit like I got a habit of it, so it's a bit of practice what you preach. I realised actually I haven't done that for a while. I would always have I'd take a sketchbook on holiday and a little watercolour set, but I haven't been doing it kind of regularly at home. So I started that up again, and it's just a visual journal. So one of the most important things was actually not to put myself under too much pressure. So not to think, right, I'm going to have to do this every day. I think similar to a written diary, you can sort of stress yourself out more. It defeats the purpose. It's supposed to be quite a relaxing things to do, but if you put yourself under that pressure, it sort of makes a nonsense of it. So I've done it sort of every now and then. So just with a little written note about maybe what we were doing that day, or it's just things from around the house, little tableaus. So very low key so far. And I think it's quite a nice thing just to kind of look back on, and I think it's quite nice having the dates on and a little note about what was happening. So
and I think that last one that you showed us, was that the one that you did a poll on social media to see whether to keep it the same or change it?
Yeah, I wasn't sure about whether to colour the plants, and I was humming and hawing because another thing that in the workshops I'm always saying, it's really hard to know when to stop. So you have to sort of take a step back and think, right, if I add one more thing, it's just going to tip it over too far. So I did an Instagram poll, and that was lots of fun. It was 50-50 for ages, and I was like, oh, this is useless. But eventually it tipped over. So yeah, I didn't colour them in the end. I went with the majority. So
just show us that last page again.
Yeah.
You'll need to say something so that the screen goes to you as well.
Oh, okay. Here it is. Yeah, it's that I always find this kind of really difficult to know when to stop. I mean, there's lots of times when I've just taken a drawing too far, and it's like, oh. And with something like pen, there's no going back if you make a mistake. So unforgiving.
But I guess it's just trial and error, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's just experience and just practicing. I mean, I would encourage anyone who thinks they can't draw or they're feeling nervous about drawing, just keep a little notebook. You don't have to show anyone else. I just would drop objects from around the house, and literally the more you do it, the more little objects you draw, the more your mind and your eye and your hand will start to connect, and you'll find your own style as well, because it's all about finding your own style. Don't try and do things like anybody else.
Fantastic. I'm just going to show you guys mine, because I'm actually quite proud of myself that I did put pen to paper. So there are my
lovely.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So I'll definitely will have a go at doing that again, and maybe colouring it in and things.
Brilliant.
My object is hilarious, which I'm very sure.
I know it's a musical instrument, isn't it?
Yes. Well done. Awesome. It was actually that. Cool. Hurrah. That's very encouraging. Thank you. Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That's been a really, really interesting session.
Thank you.
Definitely helped me break my fear.
Good.
So please do let us know if you decide to start doing online workshops and things. And in the meantime, anybody who's interested in doing a bit more with Suzanne, it's YouTube, isn't it, that you've got your
I've got them on. I've got them across like my Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. But on YouTube, most of them have, well, they all, apart from the last one I haven't got around to doing yet, they've got subtitles as well. So
amazing.
If anyone has that issue with needing the subtitles, then they're there for you.
Fantastic. And we're going to put the links for you everybody buy the video. So if you want to follow up, do some more tutorials with Suzanne, or get in touch with her, or look into a gift box for somebody, drawing gift box, then you'll be able to do that. So that's pretty much all we've got time for. But just a very quick note about the live streaming program. So as you know, we have a very big live streaming program. We're trying to keep as much of our regular events and things online as we possibly can, and we're always looking for new ones as well. So Suzanne, if you fancy doing a bit of live drawing, kind of try out
sounds good.
that. We do have a few available slots on the live stream program at the moment. Anybody who's watching, if you've got something that you're doing that you'd like to share and sort of do live on Facebook through us, we'd love to hear from you. I also would love to hear from anybody who'd like to come and talk to me on the library lunch. So it's amazing talking to so many different people from the community. It does, to be honest, take me quite a long time to actually find people and get them to this point of being on the show. I'm doing it voluntarily, so if anybody is interested, I would really love to hear from you. It will cut my admin time down a lot, and also I'd love to know who you guys would like to hear from, because obviously you guys watching is the point. So if you've got any ideas of people you'd like to hear from in the community, or if you are doing something that you'd like to share with us, so it can be anything really that relates to the community, or how you have adapted your job to go online in the current circumstances, or if, like Suzanne, you have something that you can demonstrate and get us joining in with, then we'd love to hear from you. So give us a shout at info@unlt.org for any of those. And I will be back on Monday with another demo. This time it's going to be body percussion. So a bit more music from a very good friend and colleague of mine. So I hope to see you on for the live lunch on Monday at midday. Suzanne, it's been really lovely to chat to you. Thank you so much, and do keep us updated if you're going to do more online stuff, and we can pass the word out.
Yeah, will do. Thank you for inviting me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, good. Fantastic. Thank you. Have a good weekend, everybody. Stay safe. See you soon.